Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. We got a lot to cover today, so here's what we got going on in the docket today. So we got to talk about, obviously, what's going on in the markets. The markets were up today. Bitcoin and Ethereum were both up. They're now in the new day, so they're trending a little red right now. Miners were also up nicely today. Only, I think, two were down today. Then we have a couple of stories to talk about. First story we're going to talk about is Federal Reserve's. Well, they're kind of between a rock and a hard place right now as interest rate decision looms for tomorrow, so we got to cover that a little bit. We also have the Bitcoin rally is pure gravy for the miners right now. They're having a really good time, especially with Bitcoin being at around 28,000. So we'll take a look at how much that actually affects the miners here. And then we got a story from Bitfarms reporting their fourth quarter and full year 2022 results. We'll get into all of that. And as always, you guys know the drill here. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out. So let's get into the markets here and see what's going on. So S&P was up 1.3% today to 4,002. Dow Jones was up 0.98% to 32,560. NASDAQ was up 1.42% to 12,741. Bitcoin was actually up today. If we look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin was up 1.35%. Today closed at 28,198. Again, today we reached our resistance line here at 28,600, it looks like. We came pretty close to it. We touched it almost, and then we fell below it again. So this is going to be the second day, almost third day in a row here that we've been getting really close to that line, and we're getting rejected from it, which is kind of to be expected. But I do expect it as the more times we touch it, the possibility is there for us to go up. Good thing here, the RSI is still pretty much flat, while the price has been going up a little bit here, so that's good as well. If we look at the 4-hour chart, we can see here that the RSI has been coming down. Price has been going up, so that's a good sign. 1-hour chart, we're seeing the same thing where the RSI has been kind of flat, but the price has been going up as well. So that's a good sign there for us. If we look at the Ethereum right now, Ethereum was up a little bit today as well, 3.9%. So it did better than Bitcoin did today. It closed at 1,807. So pretty good day here. And it also seems like it has somewhat of a resistance line here at 1,848, 1,850, right around that line. It was looking like it's kind of resistance for it at this time frame. Okay, so we'll see how this one goes. RSI is still looking good on this one on the daily. 4-hour chart, same thing. RSI has been coming down, price has been going up, so that's good. And then we're seeing the same thing happen on the 1-hour chart, where the RSI is lower, price is higher for most parts, so that's a good sign there as well. Okay, now let's take a look at the miners, see how they did today. So if we look at the miners really quick, here we can see here, Annie was up today 11.28% to 35 cents, so they had a really good day as well. Argo was only up 2.27 to $1.80. Bit Digital was up 10.77% to $1.44. Bitfarms was up great today, 14.29% to $1.04. They're up above the dollar again. We'll see how long they can hold on to that dollar mark and be above it. We need 10 days. We got 1 day. We got 9 more days to go. We'll see if they can manage to get 10 days of being above a dollar to qualify with NASDAQ regulations. Cypher was up really good today as well, 17.37% to $2.50. It was down quite a bit yesterday, so we're having a little bit of a pullback on that one. CleanSpark was up 14.67% today to $2.97. It had a really good day. If you look at the candles here, it's one of the best candles that we've seen here in a long time, especially from CleanSpark. So that was good news there. Core Scientific was down 1.74% to 34 cents. DigiHost was down 1.25% to $1.58. DMG was up 1.18% to 23 cents. Greenidge was up 1.9% to 44 cents. Hive was up 9.67% to $3.29. Hut 8 was up 8.7% to $2. Iris Energy was up 9.93% to $3.32. Marathon was up nicely as well, 12.99% today to $8.87. Mawson was up huge today, 27.27% to $3.50. Not sure what's going on with that one. Raya was up 6.08% to $9.07. Soluna was up 10.27% to 29 cents. Stronghold was up today 7.28% to 60 cents. And TeraWolf was also up nicely today, 16.63% to 74 cents. So a really good day in the miners, considering that Bitcoin was only up 1%. So it looks like maybe some of the investors are starting to get back into miners here a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how that's going to play out. Okay, let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick, see where we are standing right now. Right now on the 7-day average, we are at 321 million terahashes per second. And if we look at the 1-day average, let's see how that one's piling up. That one is right now at 333 million. So we're still bouncing between our peaks and lows here a little bit. But that's going to be expected right now as, well, it should increase as more miners get installed, I think. Okay, so that's it. Let's take a look at our stories that we do have here, and we'll get into Bitfarms with their numbers. So the Federal Reserve is between a rock and a hard place as interest rates decision looms. We got that coming in tomorrow. That information should be released to the public around 2 p.m., I believe, and I think that's Eastern time too. So the Federal Reserve officials will convene this week for one of the central bank's most uncertain policy meetings in years. Forced to balance the consequences of the banking crisis and inflation that remains well above target, the Fed is expected to raise interest rates by another 0.25% when it releases its latest policy decision at 2 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday afternoon. This move would bring the Fed's benchmark interest rates range to 4.75 to 5%, the highest since 2006. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will hold a press conference at 2:30 p.m. Eastern to explain the Fed's decision. So we'll see what they are seeing, what they are thinking. And they're in between a rock and a hard place, said Wilmer Stith, bond portfolio manager for Wilmington Trust. There's a banking crisis, and it's really very tenuous, uncomfortable position for the Fed to be in. It is. They are really between a rock and a hard place. They're trying to fight inflation, but then they have all this stuff going on with the banks, and they're trying to balance all of that out. Originally, before the banking crisis happened, we were looking to get maybe 50 basis points. Now that the banking crisis has happened, that has come down. At least the expectations have come down. We'll see what the Fed does tomorrow. I don't expect them to go with a pause or anything like that. I think it's going to be at least the 25 basis points here. Trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to point out, and there isn't. So we'll see how this is going to play out tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see, and we'll obviously talk about it tomorrow when it does happen. Okay, so that's it for that one. Let's take a look at the story here. Bitcoin rally is pure gravy for miners finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. So as most of you are probably aware, 2022 was just a really, really bad year for the miners. Bitcoin price coming down all the way from 45,000 down to 15,000 towards the end of the year. Network hash rate increasing at the same time. Energy prices skyrocketing for them. It was just not a great year for the miners, and they've been beaten down for it because of it. So now it looks like we're possibly getting into that reversal trend here where we might be going up. So here's the interesting parts of it. Bitcoin miners are finally getting some good news thanks to the rally in cryptocurrencies this year, which is true. We've gone up nicely, about 65, almost 70% from the beginning of the year to now with Bitcoin. So this for us is pure gravy. CleanSpark Executive Chairman Matthew Schultz told The Block, when you look at the price appreciation in Bitcoin, it's essentially another $200,000 a day in free cash flow if you're mining 20 Bitcoin a day, which is about where they are. So take that, multiply it by 30 days, you're looking at, what is that, $6 million extra in cash that they're generating just from, obviously, the price appreciation that we're seeing. Bitcoin price appreciation is happening at the same Bitcoin price appreciation is happening at the same miners are finally seeing a slump in power prices, essentially reversing trends that squeezed their margins last year and drove some to bankruptcy. It may be a chance for a turnaround for even the hardest hit companies, which is true. We saw a lot of that happening last year, especially towards the end of it. And then here's the Bitcoin hash price index. Now, when I started managing a Bitcoin mining farm, a small one, we only had at the peak, we had 440, 460 ASIC miners, a mix of D3s and S9s. 2017 was a great year because we were making at one point like $35 on Bitcoin per day on those, and that was just outstanding. Ever since then, it's come down. It hasn't gotten to that point again. So at the end of 2021 and into 2022 here, you can see that the price was about 39 cents per terahash on day average. Looks like kind of peaked at 40 cents. And then after that, it's been falling down here to the end of 2023 here at 6 cents. Now it's coming back up a little bit now. So that's kind of good there. The market has helped us a lot. A spokesperson with Core Scientific, which filed for bankruptcy in December, said last week, power prices have come down dramatically. And when you're a Bitcoin miner, power pricing is your primary cost input. We're spending a lot of money on professional fees, but operationally things are going great. So that's good there as well. And then let's see here. Mining is a balance act between many factors and as overall economic conditions improve, analysts have warned that the better environment will be partially offset by an increase in mining difficulty as competition heats up, which is true. We're seeing the network hash rate go up and continually go up. Sometimes it seems like it's a little flat, but then it starts ramping back up as miners get plugged in. CleanSpark Schultz said he's seen an influx of machines coming online, but nothing that surpasses what had already been planned and announced by miners. Yeah, so we had a lot of announcements back in 2021 from the miners. They were getting miners in 2022, and we're seeing that some are still delayed based on that. Those are coming in this year, and we're kind of guessing that we're going to be probably around, I think maybe 380, 400 terahash, 400 million terahash by the end of the year, somewhere around there. But we'll see where that comes in at. And difficulty is expected to jump between 5 and 6% this week. According to different estimates, it will be the third increase in a row following 9.95% and 1.16% jumps. We expect continued growth to the overall network hash rate in the near term as newer gen machines deliveries are installed and brought online, said the note from Stifel. And then because rack space for machines is scarce at the moment, if the price of BTC goes up a lot in 2023, there will be a lag before the difficulty goes up to an extent, the Core Scientific spokesperson said. So that's kind of interesting there that they're saying there's limited space right now for the miners, it looks like. And even if miners do get delivered, they may not get installed, so you won't see that effect on the network hash rate. Okay, machines and investments. So prices for those in the top efficiency tier have jumped 9% in the last 2 months, according to data from Luxor, which runs as an ASIC trading desk. Those are the machines that are the most efficient ones. And then you have the middle tier and the very end tier on those. And I think there's a price index here as well. So prices can move pretty quickly unless machine supplies available in the markets remain too high, he said. Right now, there are a lot of machines in the market. And here's the graph on it. So you got under 38 joules per terahash, 33 to 68 joules per terahash, and above 68. Those are obviously the worst ones. These are kind of the average ones, and then these are the better ones here. S19s, the S19 Pros, XPs. These would fall in line with here, with the black line. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. We're seeing some miners buying around $15, $13 per terahash, right around there, or joules per terahash, however we want to look at it. But it's kind of what they're being priced at right now compared to where they were back in 2021 at the end. It was $106. Back in the middle of, 2021 in May, they were $119 per terahash. Just outrageous pricing on those. The best time to buy miners right now is in the bear market or towards the end of the bear market. As prices are coming down on things, this is the best time to do it. But we also will have possibly newer miners coming online in either this year or possibly next year as well. And they're going to be even more efficient and things like that. Okay, so miners have been in survival mode for the past several months, striving to deleverage themselves and clean up their balance sheet amid the excitement from the last bull market in 2021 and race to deploy as fast as possible. Some took on large amounts of debt to buy as many machines as possible when prices were comparatively very high, and that is also true. But we have seen other companies that kind of waited, bought spot pricing and places like that, or waited until things were coming down a little bit, which was good of them to do. And I think that is it. Yeah. So this is actually really good news. Let's take a quick look at some of the numbers that I do have on this. We won't go into it too deep. But right now, we're just looking at electricity at 4 cents. Network hash rate is about 320 million right now. Bitcoin price is at 28,250 roughly. And then we're using a machine that runs on 3,025 watts roughly. So that's one of the newer generation miners on that one. Right now at 4 cents, you're looking at electricity costs $2.90 per day on a miner to run it. If you have a lot of miners, that's going to add up quite quickly here. So at 28,250, the miners right now are making on average about $5.04. And then compare that to basically the beginning or towards the end of 2022, right at the end of December, we were looking at the miners only making, $1.84 right here. It's $1.84 per day per miner. So we've seen almost, 250% increase in just the revenues they're generating now with Bitcoin being at 28,000. So that is a huge increase in that. That's helping out tremendously on this. So we're looking at the data with 100 terahash miners, which are pretty prevalent in the miner space right now. If we look at a miner that's at 1 exahash, and you can multiply this times whatever exahash the company has, whether it's Riot at 9 point something, Marathon also, CleanSpark at 6 point something. You can multiply this by that number and you'll get the amount that they're actually mining more. So based on this, they are mining about, per 1 exahash, about $960,000 more per month in addition to what they were mining before at the beginning of the year. That is a lot of cash. So somebody that's like at 5 exahash, we're looking at about 4.8 million additional in revenue on this. So this is really helping them out. Obviously, if we go up even higher in price with Bitcoin, depending where the network hash rate goes up, they're going to be really, really good as far as generating revenue on their machines, which is great because we want to see that. We want to see that happening, which will end up in helping us get the stock price going up. So that's good. Okay, so just wanted to go over that really quick. This is, I think, really good for them. Then we'll see how it goes forward. Right now, we're kind of in no man's land with Bitcoin. We'll see where it's going to go. We'll see what the FOMC meeting is like tomorrow. That might give an indication as far as where Bitcoin's going further. Okay, so that is it for that one. Let's take a look at Bitfarms report really quick here. We'll take a look at what they provided, and then we'll get into my numbers as well. We'll kind of go over some of the metrics that I have for them as well. Okay, so Bitfarms reports fourth quarter and full year 2022 results. And also, I did listen into their conference call. I do have some notes on it, so we'll get into that as well. Okay. Bitfarms mined 1,434 BTC in Q4 of 2022, 5,167 BTC in 2022. So nice numbers there. And 20,000 plus BTC since inception through February 2023. And they averaged direct cost production of about $10,000 per BTC in 2022, which is pretty good. They reported Q4 2022 net loss of 17 million and a positive adjusted EBITDA of 1 million. So that's good there. Their loss did come down here from Q3, which was good to see. They expect over 30% increase in hash rate to 6 exahash with the existing portfolio by the year end 2023. I actually have them at 7.5 exahash, but I think I'm using still some of the older miners, which they may not be having or using anymore. We'll take a look at the numbers I do have in a second here. Going down here, so these initiatives contributed to increasing our hash rate to 4.5 exahash as of December 31st, 2022, over 100% from the beginning of 2022. Looking ahead, we plan to leverage our existing infrastructure in Argentina and utilize equipment credits to prudently expand our exahash to 6 exahash with our existing assets by year end of 2023. So that's good. With our strength and balance sheet, we are actively evaluating potential acquisitions that we expect to be accretive and complement our geographically diverse mining operations. So that's actually really good there too. I have some notes on that as well from their conference call, which is kind of interesting. Going down here, financial highlights for quarter ended December 31st. So total revenue was 27 million compared to 33 million in Q3, as the 13% increase in Bitfarms hash rate was offset by 15% lower average BTC prices and 20% increase in network hash rate difficulty. That's kind of to be expected. That's going to happen if, Bitcoin goes lower, hash rate increases, you're going to be making less. And then if you're not keeping up with that increase in hash rate, you're not going to be able to offset that. So that's understandable. Gross mining profit and gross mining margin were 8 million and 33% respectively, compared to 17 million and 52% in Q3 of 2022. General and administrative expenses, excluding non-cash share-based compensation and charges associated with terminated consulting agreements, were 7 million, down 25% from Q4 of 2021 and up 6% from Q3 of 2022. The increase from the third quarter reflects modestly higher compensation expense and professional service fees largely associated with the Argentina build-out. So that's not too bad there, but it's still a little high there. We'll look at the numbers here in a minute. Net loss was 17 million or 8 cents per basic and diluted share compared to 85 million or 40 cents per basic and diluted share in Q3. So they did improve in this aspect. So that's good there. And I think that was it that I wanted to go over here. Yeah, they just go over some of the details. Let's take a look at the numbers I have for them, and we'll get into the conference call notes. Okay, so Bitfarms currently has about 190 million shares outstanding. Stock price is $1.04. Market cap is 198 million right now. Still way undervalued in my opinion. Current hash rate is at 4.7 exahash. Future hash rate is going to be at 7. Well, I have them at 7.5. They're saying 6. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. They reported for their just self-mining, they reported 25.936 million. I had them at 25.937 million based on the data that we got from them and calculations based on average Bitcoin price monthly. I was off by 0.01%. Could not be happier with that, so I'm really pleased with that. That's kind of my goal, is to be within 2.5%. But when we get this close, that makes me really excited, so I'm happy to see that. So all those numbers have been updated here. We'll take a look at those in a minute, but here's the miners that I'm talking about here. So we're looking at a lot of miners here that they do have, that they reported as being purchased, but now we have these 63 terahash miners here that I believe are already taken out, it looks like, as the beginning of January. We may still have these 74 terahash miners and these 82 terahash miners as well. And then we got some 80 terahash and 90 and 91 terahash miners. I would think the 90 and 91 terahash miners would still be pretty good operationally. But if we just subtract the other ones, the 80 and the 82s and the 74 and 63 ones, we basically remove about 1.23 exahash from my total of 7.5. So that kind of gets us closer to their 6. But but we'll see. I'll have to look into this some more. If you guys have some details on this, I'd love to see it. As far as if they got rid of any miners, sold them or anything like that. I couldn't find anything. I might have missed something that could happen, but that's kind of where I'm looking at right now. We did have these reported here December 2nd, 2021, N-Miner S19J19 Pro XPs. Those were supposed to be delivered in 2022. Still haven't seen anything on those. I don't know if those got canceled or not. So, and then we still have a lot of miners here that need to get installed from looking at the numbers here. So we still have, what is that, possibly 24,000 miners, it looks like. I don't know if these have been canceled or not, what's going on with those, but we'll see. So those are the numbers for the miners. Let's take a look at the actual numbers for their Q4 and end of 2022 numbers. So this should actually be over here, and then this should be FY 2022 numbers. Okay. So these are some of the metrics that I look at. We'll look at those last, but here's what we got as far as assets. Assets did decrease a little bit here to 30.8 million from 35, so that's understandable. We're seeing that across the board with other miners as well. Trade receivables are also down about half to 701,000 from 1.4 million. Other assets decreased as well to 4.5 from 11.3. Short-term prepaid was a new entry in their financial results. Not sure where that's coming from, but that's basically being added in here in Q4. Taxes receivable was about the same. Digital assets, 4.6 compared to 6.6, so that's come down. Digital assets pledged as collateral has definitely come down to 2 million, so that's good there. And assets held for sale was 1.2 million on that one, so about the same. Total current assets was 69, so that's definitely a decrease from the 102 million that we had here in Q3. Property plant, that's about the same here, 219 from 220. Right of use went up a little bit to 16.3 from 15.3. Long-term deposits, 38, stayed about the same, a little bit, a couple 100,000 there. Intangible assets was down to 33,000 from 260. Zero goodwill, zero deferred taxes. And that is it for that one. So total assets was 343 million. So a little bit of a decrease from 376. Like I said, it's understandable. Prices have come down on Bitcoin and everything else, so all their assets come down as well. On that one, current liabilities, if we look at that, we can see it's trade payables and accrued liabilities is 20.5 million. So that's up a little bit here from 16 million. Current portion of long-term debt is up to 43 million from 3.8 million. Current portion of lease liabilities is about the same. Credit facilities is 0, so that's good there. They paid that off. Taxes payable is 0 as well, so that's good. Total current liabilities is down to 67 million from 82 million, so that's really good there. And then long-term debt is down to 4 million from 16, so that's really good. Lease liabilities is pretty much the same, up a little bit, 14.2 from 13.5. Asset retirement is up a little bit here, not too much. But total liabilities is 87 million compared to 113 in Q3, so that's good there. Total liabilities is 429 million, so that's up a little bit from 423. And total stockholder equity is 255 million from 263, so that's down a little bit. And total liabilities and stockholder equity is down a little bit as well to 343 from 376 million. Okay, now revenues. Revenues did come down here a little bit from Q3, but that's expected. Bitcoin price came down, network hash rate went up, everything, so on. But it's 25.9 million for Q4, 33 million for Q3. So it has been coming down here ever since the beginning of the year. That's kind of what we're expected, but total revenue for the year was 142 million. Now, as far as expenses are concerned, they had energy and infrastructure was 17.4. So that's up a little bit, which is expected because they did install some miners. That's fine. Depreciation and amortization was about the same here. Purchase of electrical components was down a little bit. Electrician salaries and payroll was actually up a little bit to 392,000 from 289. And then cost of revenue was 39 million compared to 37. So that was up a little bit here. And for the year was 131 million. In all, gross profit, we're looking at negative 13,000. Gross profit percentage was negative 50%. Gross profit minus depreciation was 8.4 million, looks like. Gross profit minus depreciation percentage was 32.74. So that has been coming down as well over the periods here. Operating expenses, selling and general administrative was up to 11.97 from 10.29, which is still down from where it was in Q2 and Q1. So that's not too bad. They're up a little bit here. Still would like to see that come down a little bit, but overall 51 million for the year. Realized loss gain on a disposition of digital assets, negative 28, so that's down a little bit from 44. Change in unrealized gain loss, so this is a new one that was added in here. on that one. Unrealized loss on revaluation of property, 19 million compared to 45, so that's down on here. And then loss gain on disposition of property, plants, and equipment, down 73 million in this one, and that was only 756,000 before. Impairment of goodwill was 84.116 million compared to, well, it seems like it kind of washed out here for some reason. But it came up at operating net income was negative 23. Net income before tax was 19 for the quarter, way down here from Q3, which is good. And net loss income was 20 million compared to 84 million on the books. Okay, total comprehensive income loss was 20.1 compared to 84. So like I said, that was pretty good there. And then we only lost about 7 cents per share instead of the 40 cents per share. So overall, we still lost $1.15 per share over the year. Okay, so that's what we got. Now looking at the metrics up here, we can see here that they mined 1,434 BTC. Starting hash rate was 4.2 exahash. They did grow a little bit here to 4.5. Average hash rate was about 4.3. So they increased by about 299 petahash over the quarter. BTC mined per exahash was 329 for the quarter. Cost to mine 1 BTC came in at 27,281. That's pretty much everything in there. And then if you take out depreciation, some of the other things, we're at 12.1 thousand for what I have them at. And that is an increase here from the 10,000. Overall for the year was about 10.9. Like they said, about $10,000 for the year, so that's still pretty good. And then enterprise value is 198 million. Debt to equity is 0.342, so that's pretty good. Current ratio is 1.027, so that's pretty good as well. It came down a little bit here on both of these from Q3. Book value is 255 million compared to 263 in Q3, and price to book ratio is 0.775, so that's up a little bit here from 0.75. Okay, then revenue we know is 25.93. General administrative was 11.97, so that's 46% of basically their cost is general and administrative on that one. So I'd like to see that come down to where it was more in line here under 30. I'd like to see that come down to around 20% if they could. Now, they will eventually get there when Bitcoin price goes up in value overall. Okay. Next, something else I started tracking, I'll do this with the other miners as well, is number of shares. So we're going to look at the beginning of the year, end of the year for the years and see how they diluted over the course of that time and how did they improve as far as installing hash rate or Bitcoin's mined, whatever we want to take a look at. We'll be able to look at that with that information there as well. Okay. With all that being said, so we have the last 3 quarters of information for the Bitfarms here. It looks like they made about 100.9 million in revenue in the last 3 quarters. We're looking at possibly this quarter being about 29.3. So that would be actually an increase here over the 4th quarter, which would be good, and would possibly signal us that they're finally starting to get a little bit positive here in revenue, or more positive in revenue at least. So we're looking at about 65 million in total with 50% net income from gross revenue, PE of $26.85. If we're using the 75%, we're looking at $10.27. At least that's where I see them being at, even if you drop them down to 15 PE, because they're at 4.7 right now. They're going to be going to 6, so not a lot of growth left in them. We're still looking at $5.14 to $7.70 based on the sheer amount of revenue that they do have for them. Okay, so that is it. That's all I got. Oh, I got to go over the notes that I took on their conference call. So here's what I got. I'll try and do it like this. Let's see if we can do this like this. Okay, so here's some of the interesting parts that I found or listening to their conference call. So Paraguay has been pretty much shelved for the time being. Just too much economic turmoil, I guess, going on over there and everything else. Their target, like they said, is going to be about 6 exahash potentially by the end of the year. They plan to continue to sell monthly production to cover expenses and growth, but they did say that they're going to hodl if Bitcoin price goes up substantially, where they can still pay off their expenses each month, other things, and then if they have anything left over, they're going to possibly put that into hodl position more. Okay, so we still got that going on. Still bullish on Argentina. They've learned a lot in the last 2 years, they said. They do have micro-BT credits of 22.4 million. So it looks like they might be growing their hash rate beyond the 6, or I don't know if that includes the 6 in that as well. So that's kind of where I'm a little confused on where they're getting to. They do have 50 megawatts at Argentina, just waiting on power and miners right now. everything is set up for that. They're just waiting for approval. The approval should happen within 30 to 45 days is kind of what they're saying right now. Otherwise, they're all set up. Additional 50 megawatts is also available in Argentina that they can do after this original hookup is done. Like I said, they learned a lot in those 2 years in Argentina. They hopefully will be able to execute on what they were planning to do in the next couple months here. Let's see here. In the last year, they reviewed 80 opportunities for, this is mergers or not, acquisitions, things like that. That's kind of what the things that we're looking at. They looked at 80 opportunities. That's a lot. Around 17 countries, okay? And it totaled about 6,500 megawatts of, if you take all the different opportunities that we're looking at, that's what it all totaled to. They did state that they had 15 LOIs, which are letter of intents issued. So I'm not sure what those are going to be for, if they issued letter of intents, possibly by miners, possibly by facilities or something like that, or equipment, whatever it might be. But they issued 15 LOIs in that time frame. So that is it on that one. Overall, what can I say about the quarter? It wasn't good. We knew it wasn't going to be good. It looks like this quarter, Q1 is going to be better for them. And it's kind of the story that we're seeing with pretty much all the miners here. Unless you were growing tremendously throughout 2022, buying miners on cheap, you're really going to be kind of in the same kind of boat. I think there's only maybe 1 or 2 companies that were growing really well in 2022, buying miners and things like that. Those have done a little bit better towards the end of the year, even as Bitcoin price has been coming down. But overall, everybody else has been in this kind of same boat. So with that being said, Argentina, obviously, they got to get that sorted out. Miners got to get installed in there. They need to grow. Even if they grow only to 6 exahash this year, that's only about 100 petahash roughly. Well, it's going to be a little bit more now because we're already in the 3rd month. But it's about 150 petahash a month. I don't think that's enough. They got to grow much more than that. And they do have the space to grow, so that's good there, but they got to get Argentina under control. Okay, let me know what you guys think of all of this. As always, the spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members, as always. So thank you to everyone there for their continued support. Link is down in the description. It's $4 a month, not a lot, and you get data to everything that I have. And thank you so much for watching. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, hit me down in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. I'll see you guys in the next one.